Hey, I went to occupational therapy today for my hand, and the therapist was like kind of an older lady, and she basically went to town on my fingers. I was like screaming. No, I wasn't really screaming, but it was like, oh, that hurts. Wow, no, don't do that. But she kind of made me realize that I can actually start using my fingers and doing more aggressive things than I've been doing. I still can't go like full out on it because the surgery area it's in the last stages of healing. Basically, after just that one session, I can like straighten my fingers a whole lot more. I can curl them in a lot better. I'm still not going to try to put a whole lot of pressure on it in terms of like lifting and pushing and turning kind of motion, but I think I'm now able to be a little bit less careful with my movements. I'm actually was encouraged to stretch them as much as I can. Here's the laser level that I bought. It's a green laser, which is supposed to be brighter than red laser, but I found it's not really bright enough. Stop beeping at me. So now the containers are in the shade, so it's like easier to see the laser. I can also do it brighter. So I think that's one brightness higher, one lower. Now it's blinking. I'll leave it at that for now. Yeah, so in the morning, I was trying to do the level like kind of back here. So basically, I was trying to center the level here so that the laser would shine on both containers at the same time. But problem is the sun in the morning comes from, that's east back there, so it's shining towards the containers, and like unless like you go like really close up to the containers and look, you can't really see the line. A little disappointed that the laser isn't as bright as I thought it was gonna be. It'll be fine for use indoors, but I think like outdoors on really sunny days, you basically have to put the laser like closer to whatever you're trying to shine it at. I don't know, I can make it work, so it's not a huge thing, but it is a minor annoyance. So the laser's there. It's like where that black rubber is. Let me give you a overall view first. All right, so this container closer to me is higher than the container over there. That's a hill sloped upward there, and then it comes down, and so they graded this thing so the water will naturally flow that way. So like when you look at the container where the laser is, the laser is lower than this side here, which basically means I have to lift this side to get it level. That container overall is gonna have to come up so that it's level with that container. So like even visually, if I just look with my eyes, I can really tell that the container on the left is sitting lower. Even with those blocks, those logs under there, it's still sitting lower than this container. So I'm gonna start with this container. I'm not really liking how there's all that dirt sitting right on the bottom of that edge. So I'm gonna put concrete blocks. Probably start with concrete blocks. I'm gonna put concrete blocks on all four corners of this one. Just heard a crazy noise in the woods. Something sounded like a tree fell, or someone threw a giant boulder down or something. But I don't hear anything anymore, so I don't think it's a person. Guessing it was just like a big branch that fell. Anyways, where was I? Yeah, so I am going to try to dig on the higher part so that the block sits lower in the ground and try to level it that way. Alright, so I got the level set up there. So it's looking, just eyeballing it, like on the front side, it looks like it's this one. I will say, let's just go from that nook. It's about 6 inches. Back here, we're at about 5. Let's see. The front has to come up an inch. From a side-to-side perspective, the left side has to come up an inch. We're just gonna start with the one block on this corner. It's the easiest to do. And then we'll go back. We'll do the leveling from this side and figure out how much we have to dig in the back. All right, I think that's right. I gotta move all this crap out of the way first. All right, so I did buy a farm jack. So instead of digging under the ground there so I can fit my jack underneath, I could have used the farm jack on the side here, but I didn't feel super comfortable using the farm jack with the state of my hand. I want to level that piece of cement block. There may be parts of this process where my hand has to go underneath, and the hydraulic jacks can fail. It's not super common, but it does happen. So I'm actually probably gonna let it down and let it rest on the blocks. So far I just put that there, but I'm gonna put some on that side and maybe some on the other end too. Okay, so I pulled the hydraulic jack out, and it's resting on those blocks and that block, so I feel safe working underneath this thing to a certain extent. This right end has to come up slightly, maybe like 1/4 inch. So I mean, I can dig on that side or fill on this side. I think I'm gonna fill on that side. The first block is down. This one's just floating in the air. And now I guess I'm gonna put the laser level on this side and then put a block in the back. Okay, so according to my expert calculations, I basically need to lift the rear the same amount that I did the front. So I'm just gonna put a block in the back, redo the laser level, and see how that looks. I think I mentioned this before, but there's almost 100% chance that over the next days, weeks, months, years, that the container will need to be re-leveled. Basically, like, the dirt settles because of the weight of the container, and it's gonna like keep wanting to sink into the ground as the water goes underneath it and all that kind of stuff. So I'm not trying to do this like super perfect, but I would like it to be like pretty level when I walk inside, so I don't feel like I'm standing at an angle. The one in the rear, it looks pretty perfect. I just have to fill the dirt back in where I dug so I can get the floor jack underneath. The front, while the container is sitting up on the blocks in the front, I'm gonna dig under here about, based on the laser, it's looking like I need to get about 1/2 inch, so not too much. Probably gonna dig just enough to slide the cement block underneath, and then I'll lower it, look at the level again, and adjust as needed. If you ever break your hand and you need to do manual labor and trying to work on a house and a yard and containers, make sure you buy one of these. It's a gorilla cart. Basically, it's really easy to just operate with one hand, and it has like a super crazy turning radius, and then there's also a dump feature which works just by lifting up on this yellow handle. That's a slug. Got a lot of slugs here. I hear they're edible, but there can be problems with parasites and stuff, so you gotta cook really thoroughly, but they're pretty much just like escargot. Okay, so I've got 3 blocks on now. That's the latest one that I put up. That was the first one, and that corner was the second one. Got the laser level on here, and this side is actually pretty good. This side, I dug too deep. What I need to do now is jack the front up and fill the bottom of that concrete block with some gravel to raise it up. I haven't looked at the container yet, but basically you see the line on this brick, it's like a little below the half line, and then there's a line on this side. It's a little fainter because it lasers further away, but basically while I have it lifted, I need to lift this brick by putting gravel underneath to like a little below the center line, just like the other side. So that's what I'm gonna do. I'm still working on the third corner. Some tips if you're trying to do this yourself. One is have water on hand. I'm getting thirsty, but I don't have water on hand. Number 2 is if you're filling dirt underneath where the weight's gonna come down from the container, put in a lot more than you think you need, because when that thing comes down, it just goes into the abyss. Number 3 is don't worry too much about getting the actual concrete block level, because once this thing comes down, it just kind of flattens itself. All right, so this is harder than I thought. I mean, it's not like super impossible or even super hard, but it's not like you can measure once or measure twice even and set it down and it just works flawlessly. So this side is still too low, so I need to get this up higher. But as you can see, this side is not sitting on the brick anymore. It may be that I bring up that side, and in that process the container tilts to the left, and that will take care of this space here. But it doesn't look like I want to bring it up that high. And I think another thing that's influencing that space is the fact that I don't have this corner's not level yet to that block. So you can't really do one side at a time. You've got to like do one side at a time, but get it pretty close, and then have all the sides done, and then just keep going around and adjusting. There might be a better way to do this, but I don't know it, so it's gonna take me a little time, but we'll get it done. Yeah, so I looked at this from farther away, and basically I haven't put the block on the right rear corner, so when I put that block there, it should bring the left front corner down. But that's for tomorrow. It's 7 o'clock, so I'm gonna start packing up. So I just decided to go for it and do the final block. Turned out to be the hardest one because there's just not a lot of space to work with. And I also threw in a shim because it was just really hard to work underneath there. And I kind of came to the limitation of my floor jack. Once I got to a certain level, it kept on failing. Basically, like, you push on it and then you kind of feel it give. And that's a combination of two things, I think. One is this container is full and most of the weight is in the back. And the other thing is, I think I didn't take enough time to dig out this space enough. And so the jack was kind of sitting at an angle like this. So I think that didn't really give it the strength that it needs and could have messed up with the hydraulics. But I got all 4 blocks there now. There's still like a few little adjustments I need to make. So I'm really calling it a day. Gotta take a shower and clean up, so that's it for today.